All right. So, Craig, something else I'm thinking. Um, I'm liking the Kelces. I mean, there's worse things in the world than the Kelce brothers. You know,
Yeah.
Travis
Yeah.
is dating, Taylor Swift, and you got Jason, who I don't know. Jason Kelsey got lucky. I mean, he's a engaging personality, I guess, but I think the fact he's brothers with the guy that's dating Taylor Swift is helping Jason Kelsey. And I know they really like each other. I'm not saying it's made up or anything, but the Kelseys hit the lucky stick, and I think dating Taylor Swift can help you, and it's really helped them out too. I gotta say, Craig, I'm a little bothered's not the right word, but a little bit weirded out. Have you seen how much Travis Kelsey is out there right now? I mean, yeah, he's in the middle of a football season, but you can see Travis Kelsey all over your TV set, not just on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, commercials, the podcast that he and his brother do. The whole family is taking advantage of it, but he's really taking advantage of it. I think this is a smart move, though. I think he realizes that, his playing days are not going to last forever. And I think he looks at it in a way of this is him creating his brand for life after football. And
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I will say that, sometimes less is more when you get your name out there, but sometimes you got to take advantage and strike while the iron's hot. And I get that. And I think that's exactly what he's doing. And, if he shows the ability to host a show like he is here on Prime, look, he's going to have a career after football, whether it's broadcasting or hosting his podcast. But in this sense, now he's, branching out to television and streaming, and he's getting an opportunity to kind of showcase his talents outside of a community that normally knows who he is, which is on the football field. And now, branching out and gaining a new fan base of, the residual Taylor Swift fans that know him now because of who he is and who he dates. So this is an opportunity, and he's kind of, going after the brass ring a little bit here, and I can't fault him for it.
Yeah, what's this show is on FX? I can't even pronounce it. Grotesquerie? How do we say
Well,
this?
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm not even sure how to say it, but it's a horror show, like kind of a little icky at times, but kind of one of the shows that's out there on FX. He's acting in that. He's also hosting "Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity?" Kind
Mhm.
of like a takeoff. "Are You Smarter Than a Fifth
Yeah.
Grader?" Yeah, I mean, if you want to keep your brand up, and believe me, NFL players care about their brands. I know they care about football, but they also care about keeping their brands. The podcast deal that he signed with Jason Kelsey, $100 million, man. So
Yeah.
you think you're hosting game shows, you got a podcast thing, and yeah, football only lasts a certain amount of time. Now you're pretty much set for life. I mean, if he ends up marrying Taylor Swift, he's going to be set for life in other ways too, I'm sure.
Right.
Um, it's funny. I think if you're an old school football fan, you don't understand that. The FX show was probably filmed over the summer. The Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity was filmed months ago.
Yeah.
But I think some people kind of get a little icky when, Kelsey's not having a dominant year this year. And
Right.
people are like, oh man, he's not playing that well. And oh, he's hosting a game show and other stuff. Well, he's not doing that during the season. But I
Right.
think that might have a negative effect on him a little bit, at least in the
Yeah.
PR line.
I think there's always that connotation of like your play on the field is the result of what your off season maybe looked like. And his off season was probably filled with a lot of tapings and shows that commercials, things like podcasts. But I don't think it matters to him. Like I think he wants to be a great football player. Don't get me wrong, and I think he wants to have a better season than what he's having. But this is a guy that's had a great career. He has nothing really to prove. He's won multiple Super Bowls. And at the end of the day, he's going to go down as one of the great tight ends of our era and probably of all time. So, whatever he does on the field now is probably just icing on the cake because he has everything's set up for him after football. And I think at this point, he's going to keep playing. I don't think it might just be the way the offense is moving right now. I mean, even Patrick Mahomes looks somewhat pedestrian at times. So, I don't think it's an indictment on his skill being diminished or anything like that. I think it's just, one of those things that happens sometimes where you're just not featured as much, or maybe you're not the go-to person so much. But, he's still a great player, and he's set himself up now that if he wants to quit tomorrow, he's going to have a life after football that's going to be very well compensated.
But let's be fair, though. I'm not saying you don't think this way, but I think that there's a lot of people out there like, oh my goodness, he should think and care only about football. Well, okay, I'm a PR guy. I'm a journalist. You're a journalist. Okay, yeah, we talk about that stuff during the podcast, but we could talk about other stuff. We could talk about the Kelce. It'd be like somebody saying, all right, Craig, you cover Nashville. Stay in your lane, man. Only talk about stuff happening around Nashville. Well, you're an expert at that, but you're allowed to do other stuff. You're allowed to be interested in movies and talk about pop culture and stuff. It should be the same thing for Kelce. Yeah, his profession and what makes him the money growing up was football, but he can have other interests. That's fair, right?
Well, no one's going to expect him to play football when he's 52 years old. So,
right.
Let him, there is nothing wrong. And look, if what he is doing in the off the field stuff is impacting his on the field stuff, then that's going to end his career faster than, him deciding that it's time to go. So I think he realizes that he's got to focus, when he needs to focus on football, but you can't expect the guy to train for 12 hours a day, or you can't expect him to do everything football related his whole life. It's, there has to be a little balance. And I think that, he's struck that balance, and maybe it's just, hey, look, if he was doing this when he was 23 years old, he'd still be the dominant player that he was when he was that age, instead of, in his early 30s now not being quite as good. But you got to remember, there's a lot of football players that don't play that well and aren't, excelling at the same level when they're in their 30s. So I don't think this is, because of the off the field stuff. Maybe he's doing too much as far as like over branding himself, but that's his call to make. And that's the problem that you could face there is you're out there too much, and you oversaturate your market, and then people kind of move on to the next big thing. But that's kind of the way streaming and TikTokers are, though, is that sometimes they try to capitalize for the moment in time, and they hopefully will invest their money and spend it wisely, and they'll be able to set themselves up for years and years to come and not have to worry about being relevant when they're 47 years old, but Travis Kelce is going to be relevant when he's 47, because even if all of this stuff fails, even if his relationship to Taylor Swift fails, the guy is still going to have a podcast. He's still going to have a job anywhere he wants in broadcasting. So I say go for it. But, if it starts impacting your on the field play and you don't like that, then, he can scale that back too.
I kind of wonder what happens to the brand if he and Taylor doesn't last forever. You kind of wonder, but let me give a direct message to NFL fans. Okay, I get it. We're grumpy. We're never happy about our teams. Believe me, I'm a Steelers fan. The last 2 weeks have not been fun. But, okay, Chief fans, if your biggest issue is Travis Kelce did a lot over the offseason, and maybe Travis Kelce isn't getting 400 yards receiving a game, you're 5-0. There's teams with a lot bigger problems than you have. Yes. I would be happy to have the problems that you guys have. But, I root for a team that doesn't have an offense and is very inconsistent. And we can go over probably every other NFL team with big question marks the rest of the year. Chiefs fans, you're 5-0. Okay, just deal with it. Okay, yeah, you're going. Travis Kelce's dating Taylor Swift. He's going to get involved in other stuff. Deal with it. Whatever. You're 5-0. I mean, what do you want to do? Win every game by 100? Come on.
Exactly. Yeah.